Welcome everyone to Local Grit on this very rainy October 30th, 2025. I am here with Robert Armstrong, who is the owner and founder of Aberdeen Interiors. And we're going to chat today just about what it's like to have a home renovation, what it's like to have a home renovation business. And yeah, welcome to the show, Robert.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. We've worked before, and I love our conversations. So I'm really excited to chat with you just about your story in Aberdeen Interiors. So, you started from nothing. Just you started a home handyman company, and you've grown it over the last 25 years. Can you tell us your origin story and what sparked Aberdeen Interiors, and what are those gritty moments from the beginning that you remember?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Yeah, it's definitely been a journey. I come from a sales and business development background in luxury retail, and I moved to Hamilton in 2011 from Toronto. I'd lived in Toronto for 10 years, but grew up in Hamilton, so it was a bit of a homecoming moving back. And as my children were starting school, I was looking to go back into my previous career in retail. And given my family dynamic and my wife's demands on her schedule, decided to start my own business. I was a hobbyist carpenter. I'd always been around, mechanical and handyman, and like my dad did everything himself at home, and the rest of my family as well. So I had lots of learning opportunities growing up. Never expected to do it for commercial reasons, but it was born out of a need to fit with balancing the needs of my family together with having a purposeful career. And so with that, I started doing just local jobs for first for immediate neighbors. They would see me building stuff in my driveway, building furniture, assembling cabinets, and doing some odd tasks around the house. And I would get chatting with the neighbors, and next thing you know, I was doing handyman work at their homes, and being referred to their friends and neighbors. Um, yeah, and that organically grew. So that started in 2012, September 2012, and it very quickly evolved. By 2014, we did our first full home renovation, and my team at that point started to grow. By 2017, a close friend of mine was a master plumber, and similarly looking for balance to be more present with his family. And we started working together and established a plumbing company together, Aberdeen Plumbing. And so that's been in operation now since 2016, 2017. And as things grew and developed, and we started to find our niche in renovating the many old homes in Hamilton, um, the scope of work was focused more around luxury projects with a heavy design element, and a lot of project management was the foundation of those bigger jobs. And we decided to create a brand that fit with that. And so Aberdeen Interiors was born out of that initial handyman business, and continues today. We have a team of 15 people now in the construction side of our business, and we focus on luxury renovations, remodels, and additions in Hamilton and surrounding area.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, with Aberdeen Interiors coming and Aberdeen Plumbers, they were pretty close to each other in terms of inception. How long would you say was it within that 2 years that you started growing outside of your network and outside of your just local referrals?
hmm Yeah, it's amazing. I really didn't have an advertising budget at all. I think just until the last couple of years. Those early days, it was very much word of mouth. Branding our vehicles, putting out lawn signs. All of our team members wearing a uniform, a branded uniform. it was really those simple elements that helped to create brand awareness in our community. And as we got opportunities to work outside of our immediate community, outside of Kirkendall, Durand, and Strathcona, and started to branch into Ancaster, Dundas, Burlington, Stony Creek, Grimsby, we really started to branch out. And so, even though we do have still a high concentration of projects in Kirkendall, Durand, and Strathcona, it's great to be, exploring more of those other markets just outside of Hamilton.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, just shifting, so talking about, can you walk us through, because a lot of people have desires for their kitchen and bathroom. So can you tell us a story of a kitchen or bathroom renovation that really tested your team's limits, but and made an enriching experience for the family, that in a way that you didn't expect, maybe that.
Hmm. Yeah, I can definitely think of one. It was in Ancaster, and it was during COVID, so it would have been early 2020, early 2021. Yeah, a unique situation where a family with young children were looking to create a multi generational arrangement within their household, and have grandparents and great grandparents even come and all live together, cohabitate together in their large home. And so, in order to meet all the individual needs that the various family members had, we really had to strategize on how we were going to give everyone their own space so that they felt like they had a place that they could, retreat to and have their own peace, their own solitude when they needed it, and as well as to have some really fantastic, gathering places to be able to, celebrate together as a family, and to be able to work and meet and live their lives. There were some other unique needs too. There were some mobility issues with some of the family members, and so it became obvious that putting in a staircase lift or something that might be a more typical approach for those mobility issues was going to create some difficulty for the family as a whole. And so we ended up putting in an elevator, planning to put in a proper 3-story elevator in their home. And that was the first time we had undertaken a project like that. And it definitely had its own unique challenges, some unexpected things that came up. Our elevator pit, for example, once we broke concrete and exposed the area where we were going to be putting the pit for the elevator, all of the underground plumbing was right there, right where the elevator was going to go. And so we had to pivot a number of times to be able to work around these obstacles and to be able to achieve the result that we had planned for. Um, Ultimately, the family now, after living in the home for a period of time, all of that, all of those ideas, those concerns, those solutions that we came up with collaboratively together between our design team, the architect, and the clients, and their family members. We were really able to check a lot of boxes for all the individual family members' needs as well as their collective needs. And now they have this beautiful, highly functional space that would allow for them to, be able to, have a wonderful family dynamic. So actually, this is their living room, or one of their living rooms, in the background image behind me.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, it's funny how things, when you dig and you start poking about, how unnecessary, like just something can pop up that you didn't think was going to be happening, like the plumbing situation. And when you're taking on a project of that size, I know that you team up with Interiors by Natalie, and she is the design part aspect of it. Does she contribute to that part of the project, or is she mostly just the after putting in the sofas and the finishing touches?
No, it's very much a team effort, and I think it all starts with trust as a foundation, and to undertake, like for example, the project that I'm speaking about in Ancaster here, that had the elevator. That was a $750,000 renovation. That's a
Wow.
significant investment, and so someone doesn't enter into an agreement like that without there being a lot of trust established, and it takes time to do that. We work with a variety of different designers, and certainly Interiors by Natalie. Natalie Kurjanzik has been a foundational support to our business over the last 12 years, working with many of our clients, as well as bringing her own clients to us to work with to renovate their homes. And in fact, in the case of this project in Ancaster, this was Natalie's client. So she had trust and a relationship established and introduced me to the clients. And we were able to collaborate together and come up with solutions that were going to work for their family and fit within their budgetary constraints as well.
Yeah, so that brings up that leads to my next question perfectly. So, are there any non-negotiable principles that you always fight for in interior design? Like, is there something that where clients will push back on functionality or beauty, but you're like, no, we need to do this because of your years of experience? Have you encountered anything on this project or other projects that's a non-negotiable that you think is important for homeowners to understand?
Yeah, I think that we often will get clients that don't feel, or perhaps that haven't been through a major renovation before, that see them, that don't want to have interference from someone with contradictory ideas when it comes to design. Perhaps they feel that they can navigate the design and selection process on their own without support. And it's from experience, I've learned that even if the clients are very much and they do lead the decision making, but having professional support from someone who is able to translate ideas and concepts into tangible products that fit with that vision, is a great way of supporting a customer who does have great ideas and who does really know their taste and their needs really well. So that's a non-negotiable for us, is making sure that the customer understands that the designer is not there to contradict them, to bully them into accepting the designer's ideas, but rather to complement those ideas and to help to find solutions with products that match their vision in an efficient way.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are a lot of homeowners who like they don't know what they don't know. So having an
Mhm.
expertise opinion would give them options to think about things that they probably haven't thought about.
Exactly, that's right, and functionality definitely plays into that. So when we're talking about flow, like in a kitchen space, for example, there's a lot of key function points in a kitchen for it to feel very natural when you're working in that kitchen space, and the fridge can't be too far away, and the sink has to be in close proximity to prep areas and so forth. And yeah, unless you're a kitchen designer yourself, there's definitely things that you might overlook, or that you might compromise on that later you'd regret. And so we're really trying to make sure that our clients have all the support and professional insights that they can get in order to make the most, in order to make an informed choice and, hopefully reduce any potential regrets later on.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So we talked earlier. You spoke about some challenges that you have where plumbing was supposed to be where you were supposed to be putting an elevator. There are lots of surprises that come up with a renovation, but on the business side, on your side, recently, as we
Mhm.
spoke about just before we got on camera here, was just how supply chains and tariffs are being hit hard. We hear about it in the news. What are some challenges that your business has faced from these tariffs, if any, and how have you circumvented them, or how have you come up with new ideas to work through it?
Mhm. Yeah, no, that's a good question, and I feel fortunate that in terms of renovations and remodeling specifically, as well as plumbing, there aren't a lot of tariff implications to our business directly in terms of the products that we're using in construction. Most of our building materials are locally sourced. They're Canadian lumber and a lot of Canadian made products that are going into the renovations and remodeling that we're doing. There are a couple of exceptions, things like carpeting, for example, which isn't super common for us to be working with anyway, but often those products will come from the US. Um, I'd say that the biggest concern when we see what's happening with tariffs is the uncertainty within the economy and the potential for customers to pull back on their spending or feel like they need to defer it until a time that things do feel more stable in the economy and that there is more predictability between our relationship with the states. And fortunately for us, we've managed to continue to secure work, and right now we're booking into next summer and next fall. So we have a good runway of about 7 or 8 months worth of work that's on the books now. But definitely that's a lingering concern and something I try to keep my finger on the pulse of, just with following the news and talking to other business people like yourself about your experiences and the things that you're seeing and seeing with your clients.
Hmm. Um, uh, you've done great work. I've been in houses with the work that you've done. The gallery on your websites, they're amazing. You really do great work. I just want to share that with everyone because it looks great. Um, uh,
Thanks.
what's an addition, something that just an addition, a smaller project that you can think of, a kitchen or bathroom or an addition that just changed the family's life in a positive way, where they were just over the moon with how you change things.
Hard to pick one, but uh, um, yeah, I think I'd have to reference. I think this job, the one in Ancaster I spoke about. I think I don't know about you, Alex. I mean, I love my family dearly. I can't imagine though living with four generations of my family under the same roof. So, I love the idea of it, and I love it for this family and seeing them together, and how much joy they get out of their family dynamic and being together and being able to support one another in one home. Is fantastic, and definitely it wouldn't have been possible without solutions like the elevator, for example. The great grandparent that lives in the home. Um, like I said, has mobility issues. And without that elevator, it wouldn't have been possible for her to live in the home. And we future proof things too by making sure that, hallways and doorways are accessible, that this grandparent's bathroom is accessible and has blocking in the walls for all the different places that over time they may need some additional support measures or grab bars. We've made sure that there's seamless transitions between different flooring types. So from tile flooring to hardwood flooring, that there's a seamless transition so that if there's a walker, if there's a wheelchair, if there's something of that nature, that there aren't any encumbrances in the home. And so seeing how much joy they get out of it, and being able to have this grandparent living together with them in their home is definitely one of the things that motivate me each day. The thing that I love the most about what we do is being able to come up with these solutions that do make a difference and do add a lot of value to our clients, and elevate their lifestyle.
No, that. Yeah, no, I never even thought of the transition between like thinking of the transition. I mean, I have done them in my own house. I'm terrible. I can't even hold a hammer properly. I'm the exact opposite of you. But and that is one thing that, because my mom and a lot of parents, were an aging demographic, and you need to think of those things. That's yeah, never even occurred to me what would happen there. Um, so when you're working with your team and you're hiring people, what are is there a specific skill set that you look for in your team? Is there a specific, you know, just way of mannerisms that you look for, or do you just want to try and get the best skilled technical people?
Yeah, that's a great question. I I definitely have made my own mistakes over the years with hiring. The first time I tried to expand and grow my business, I wasn't well prepared for it. I hadn't put all of the right processes and systems in place to grow successfully. I hadn't clearly defined what all of the different accountabilities and deliverables were for each role within our business, and so we very rapidly doubled the size of our team. But we focused almost exclusively on the perceived skills that they had on the tools, and what resulted was messy. It wasn't cohesive. There were a lot of different values that these different people that came into the business had relative to the established people that were already on the team. And so I learned from that lesson, and I stepped back or scaled back a little bit in order to prepare for future growth and put those systems in place, and focused instead on making sure that we were hiring people that did share our values. One of those principal values, one of the principal values that we have is that we treat one another, our subcontractors, our suppliers, and the community at large with the same gratitude and respect that we treat our clients. And I think that's made a big difference in having a team that is cohesive, that is sharing the same values and the same foundational principles to deliver a quality customer experience. And even we make sure that our subcontractors as well share in those values. And so, when a customer does interact with employees from our Aberdeen Interiors team, our subcontractor, electricians, plumber, HVAC technician, drywall contractor, painter, etc. There's all these different people that come into a project at different phases, and we want to make sure that the customer sees that there's some cohesion there in terms of these shared values and principles when we're working in the customer's home.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's your brand that and your name that's going to be recognized regardless of the situation. I remember when we first opened Footprints, we hired our first teacher, and she was a lovely person. And on paper, she ticked all the right boxes. Masters in music. She has been playing since she was 4 years old. She had teaching experience, and then it was purely by luck. We had friends who took lessons with us, and they said that she was exceedingly boring, and that her lesson was not fun at all. It was okay, but it was something where, and what kind of sparked the question was just sometimes you can get the technically perfect, but there's no interaction with your client or what their expectations are. It's almost as bad as hiring. You know, so you need to hire people who think like you do, is what I learned from that lesson, and pretty much what you're saying there.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, yeah, of course, they need to have the practical skills to, execute the work that we do. But there's a lot of things that we can teach and help shape and mold. It's hard to teach those core principles or values, shared values that we have, and yeah, it's made a big difference in terms of the satisfaction that our management team and our office team and the different members of our team have in working with each other. Instead of butting heads and having very drastically different ideas about how to approach things. Instead, they're working more cohesively, more cooperatively
Hmm.
in order to deliver the result and the experience that we're aiming for.
Yeah. Um, Looking ahead, what's a renovation trend that you see happening, or something that you think it potentially is going to be coming that is redefining, how people are living? Are you seeing more nanny suites wanting to be developed? What's a trend that you're seeing?
Yeah, certainly over the last few years, we've seen more. We've seen more situations where clients are looking for multi generational living. Maybe their kids are finished school and just starting out in the workforce, and they're not ready to fly the coop just yet, and so creating a living space for them or potentially a child and their partner or even a young family initially has become a bigger component. Also, I think with all of the costs around care and aging, like at seniors residences and so forth, I think there's more people that are looking for ways to age in place and stay in their homes for as long as possible. And so they're, doing projects and improvements around their home that help allow for that. And then, of course, we also have parents that are aging and need some support. And in some cases, it's practical to have them move into our homes, right? So yeah, we've definitely seen a lot more ADUs, SDUs, which are a secondary dwelling, whether that's attached to the existing dwelling or detached from the existing dwelling. Could be anything from a garage conversion to a garden suite to a basement or an addition on the back or the side of the home to accommodate that secondary dwelling unit. It can also be a way of helping to offset costs of mortgage. Homes have gotten a lot more expensive, and so having some rental income can be a way of helping to support home ownership.
Is there anything from, I heard about this briefly, is there anything from the city of Hamilton or from the province of Ontario that is encouraging building secondary units, say converting a garage into a rental just due to some of the problems that people are having with finding housing?
Yeah, definitely. The provincial government has really tried to allow for more unique construction types, building types. Things like tiny homes, garden suites, laneway homes. We've definitely seen more of that type of development. Um, you know, with us having a lot of aging properties, like there's some residential neighborhoods or old developments that don't really serve the future needs that we have as a community, and so we're seeing more condominiums getting built, more mixed retail and residential developments that are happening, and uh, and so, yeah, there is a lot of government support for that. Some cities are doing a better job than others of supporting that process. Like I would say, Burlington is an excellent example of a city that's doing a really great job with helping to expedite that permit application process and zoning requirements, and they're really supporting the industry by helping to reduce some of the bureaucracy that's existed and cost barriers that have existed to doing some of this type of construction.
Hmm. Yeah, but that's great because that is something that becomes a real frustration. I know from a lot of people who've done renovations is just the red tape alone can make you
Mhm.
start crying. So that's
Absolutely.
good. That's good to know that the government's on it. So for an aspiring homeowner who's tackling a renovation, what is one piece of advice that you would give a family who are at the beginning stages of a big renovation or a small one, what's the one piece of advice that you could give them to make their experience much smoother?
I would say that that you don't want to enter into a contract with anybody, but especially not a builder or general contractor without having trust established, and take the time that's needed to interview multiple contractors, or designers, interior designers, if that's where you're starting with your planning and your journey towards doing a renovation or a remodel of your home. Um, Make sure that you do meet at least with a few different builders to gauge which one would be the best fit with you and which one you feel best represents your own personality, your own vision for the space. Um, that I would say is one piece of advice. Having an established plan or outline, even if it's in point form. If you're renovating, the main floor of your home, for example, and you want to try to get three apples to apples, comparable quotes from three different contractors, I think it's important to know that if you specify and that you give those three contractors the same information about what you're looking for in the renovation, you'll get closer to having that those comparables. Because otherwise, it's kind of like with if you were to give the same recipe to 10 different chefs, you'll get 10 different dishes. And I
Yeah.
think the same is true for contractors. If you just walk through three contractors and have a slightly different conversation with each one and expect to get three really comparable quotes, you might be disappointed. It might be difficult for you to navigate and make those direct comparisons. So, doing some preparation and kind of making a list of what are the must haves for your projects, what are some of the wants, like would be nice to have elements for your project, and just making sure that there's consistency in communicating those needs and wants to the contractors that you're considering.
Oh, that's great. Well, Robert, I want to thank you for your time. It's been great chatting with you. Hopefully, we can do this again. And thank you so much for everything. And I think you've given the listeners a lot to think about.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. It was fun, and yeah, I'd be happy to connect with you anytime.
Yeah, sounds great. All right, take care.
All right, thanks very much. Have a great rest of your day.